the Greek or the meaning of ethos is likewise the meaning of morality. However, the etymological meaning of morality is rooted from Latin moralis, which also means manner. And the definition of it, ethic does involve systematizing, defending, and recommending concepts of right and wrong behavior according to Fisher for the year 2020. So in this definition, we can comprehend that ethics is a mixture of science and philosophy. Why science? Because it involves systematizing. When we say systematizing, it involves order or um, the system in which in which science has to deal with. Di ba sa science there is formulation of hypothesis, the experimentation, conclusion stage. Same with ethics. Every theories or concepts deals with such methods or order for it to come up with a better preference or better belief. It's also about defending. When we say defending, it requires critical thinking, which is a requisite also of the subject philosophy. So ethics is under the branch of philosophy and science. Since we've encountered the term morality, you'll ask, is ethics same with morality? Based from what you learn or read in the module, is ethics same with morality? Um, Miss Charlene Rodriguez. How about Abby Claire?
In some ways po, ma'am, they are related to each other because ethics and morality is all about right and wrong conduct.
Okay. About the other, what are
Opo, ma'am.
your sentiments? Yes.
Ang ethics po, ma'am, is a field po siya, which yung parang sa science po.
while ethics is learned academically. Thank you, ma'am.
So ethics and morality is different from each other.
Yes, madam.
Okay. How about you, Arnel? Do you have same answer?
Yes po, madam.
So who says that ethics and morality are the same? Based sa mga nag-answer kanina, they all said that ethics and morality differs. Anyone from you that believe that ethics and morality are the same? Wala? So to answer the question, ethics is different with morality. However, it is oftenly used synonymously, which is pwede naman. May pagkakapareho naman yung dalawa. However, with the scholars that we have, they made a distinction between the two. So here is a graph where you can see the difference of the two. Ethics, the term ethics stems for classical Greeks. In terms of their etymological meaning, they differ because morality rooted from Latin. Another distinction is that ethics refers to the discipline that examines the moral standards of an individual or society, while on the other hand, morality can be used either descriptively or normatively. Ang pagkakapareho nila is that both of them is concerned with rules. It is mentioned here that morality can be used either descriptively or normatively. Do you have any idea of what descriptive or normative sense is when it refers to morality? Nasa module to. Okay, if none, I will discuss it. When we say descriptive sense, it refers to a certain codes of conduct put forward by a society or a group. Meaning to say it is only true to some group while it can vary with another group. For example, for us Filipinos, it is ethical, or you can say that a child is ethical or with conduct when he makes mano or yung nagbi-bless to the elderly. While in the other nation, they don't recognize that practice of making mano to the elderly. Another example is for other religion, it is wrong for them to eat meat, pork, especially dinuguan, while for other religion like Christian, it is okay for us to eat. Sorry. It is okay for us to eat dinuguan. So yun yung pagkakaiba ng yun ang meaning ng descriptive sense. It is only true to some or to some people, some group of people, while it cannot be true to other. When we say normative sense, it refers to a code of conduct that applies to all who can understand it and can govern our behavior by it. The classic example of this is the golden rule. Don't do to others what you don't want to do unto you. For example, you don't want to kill because you will not kill because you don't want others to kill you as well. Same with you should not cheat to your loved one if you don't want your loved one to cheat to you. To put it in a easier or mas madaling maaalala, pag sinabi nating descriptive sense, it answers the question, what do people think is right? So, when we say what do people think is right, it is only true to some, and it can never it has the possibility for others not to believe on your belief, meaning it is subjective, while in the normative the answer should be how should people act. So dun sa example natin kanina na golden rule, you should not kill because you are afraid for others to kill you as well. So here, therefore, ethics is the study of morality. Someone already mentioned this kanina. When it comes sa scope naman, mas malaki ang scope ng ethics because morality is only one of the subject matter under the subject ethics. But you can use this synonymously when you are referring to rules. The first question in your module asked, should there be a study of morality? So if you're going to answer that, here are some of the broad answers that you can use. It is important for it to protect social beings by regulating behavior. That's why we have laws and regulations. Another thing is that rules or ethics or morality help to guarantee each person certain rights and freedom. The law also recognizes these rights under Article 3, Section 1. And the third one, rules produce a sense of justice among social beings. And lastly, rules are essential for a healthy economic system. If you have question, you can butt in anytime. For the second topic, we have the moral versus non-moral standards. Blessy, based from what you read in the module 1, how can you differentiate moral standards from non-moral standards? Okay, Brian Bragais. How about Darwin Cruzana? By the way, treat this synchronous class of ours as a recap or review of what you've read from the module. So, kung meron akong hindi ma-topic or mako-cover today, you can share it kung sa tingin nyo important siya. But what I've included in our presentation for today are the special points or the important points to remember from the module. Faith Liabres.
Hello po, good afternoon, ma'am.
Hello, good afternoon. So based from what you read in our module, how can you differentiate moral standards from non-moral standards?
Putol-putol po, ma'am.
Hindi naman. Okay naman ang audio mo. Okay, are you still there? I think she has a internet connection problem. I'll just call you later, Faith.
Ako po, ma'am.
Yes, Miss Giselle.
Yung moral po na standards, yung dun po yung papasok yung mga moral, yung mga actions or like deeds na alam natin, sa tingin natin ay tama at mali. Tapos yung sa non-moral standards po is yung mga rules po na nagre-refer sa ibang bagay na wala naman pong kinalaman sa ethics. Halimbawa po, parang yung sa etiquette, social etiquette po sa, halimbawa, sa mga social gatherings or like rules po sa games para po.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you. When we say moral standards, this involve the rules people have about the kinds of actions they believe are morally right and wrong, as well as the values they place on the kinds of objects they believe are morally good and morally bad. So tama yung sinabi ni Giselle na when you say moral standards, it has to do with morality or with ethics. It involves what is the, it answers the questions or the dilemma. Is the thing I'm doing good? Is the thing I'm doing bad? or is the thing I'm doing evil, or does it violate law, does it violate rules? So anything that falls under that question is or can be considered under moral standards. Issues such as rape, abortion, divorce, same-sex marriage, yung issue sa Afghanistan recently, all of those are under moral standards. Pag sinabi naman natin non-moral standards, they refer to rules that are unrelated to moral ethical considerations. Either these standards are not necessarily linked to morality or by nature lack ethical sense. So tama yung sinabi niya ni Giselle na it has nothing to do with ethics, or ang sinabi dito are not necessarily linked to morality or by nature lack ethical sense. So yung sa yesterday, kung sino man nanood nung Pacquiao fight, the question of whether Pacquiao will win or not, that is an example of non-moral standards. Another example is that regarding fashion etiquette, if stripes goes along with polka dots, or if black and white are a good combination, or rules on basketball, on games, or any other games, violation of rules in Mobile Legends or COD, those are under non-moral standards because they are not necessarily linked with morality. Kumbaga, kung matalo man si Pacquiao, it has nothing to do with ethical issues. It will only fall on their health issues, especially those mga nasaktan or either Pacquiao or Ugas regarding their health. But that will fall under non-moral standards. There are criteria for a thing or a concept to be considered a moral standard. One of it is it must involve serious wrongs or significant benefits. When we say serious wrongs, that are those that violate the rules, the law, the belief, or customs, traditions of a group of person. So dun sa binigay ko kanina regarding sa descriptive sense of morality, when particular religion, when you're part of a particular religion and you ate dinuguan or attend fiesta, you are violating the divine law of your religion. For example, another example, if you are a Christian and you are practicing polygamous relationship, meaning to say you have 2 or more spouses, then you are violating the law of God or the Bible. However, for Muslims, if you are practicing polygamous, it is okay for their belief and for their law, religion. Another criteria is that it ought to be preferred to other values. Another, it must not established by authority or figures. It must have the trait of universalizability. It must be based on partial considerations. It must be associated with special emotions or vocabulary. Kahit alin dito, if an action falls any of these criteria, it can belong to the moral standards. Nonetheless, anything that is opposite to this criteria belongs to or under the category of non-moral standards. So if it does not involve serious wrongs or significant benefit, it is non-moral standard. So dun sa example kanina, if for example you go AFK while playing Mobile Legend, it will only fall to non-moral standards. If it does not ought to be preferred to other values, it is non-moral standards. If it is established by authority or figures, it it must fall under non-moral standards if it does not have the trait of universalizability. Um, However, this criteria is not true to all. Kasi dun sa sinabi ko kanina, regarding the belief of a certain religion lang, therefore, it cannot be, if it is only true to that religion, it will not fall under this criteria. Kasi when we say universalizability, it must be true to all. So, yung universal good lang naman or universal law is the golden rule. And this anything that is not based on impartial consideration will belong to non-moral standards. Also, anything that is not associated with special emotions and vocabulary will also fall under non-moral standards. Yung mga example niya yung fashion etiquettes, cosmetic etiquettes, those will all fall under non-moral standards. So now let's distinguish again dilemma from moral dilemma. Will anyone volunteer to distinguish the two terms? Aside dun sa mga nag-recite na. Vincent, Andre, Zoe Rodrigueza,
Yes po, ma'am. For me, ma'am, yung dilemma is a situation na kung saan ang person has to choose between things that are all bad or unsatisfactory. While yung moral dilemma naman, ito yung mga situation in which yung mga decision maker must consider two or more moral values. Yung mga ganun po, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. How about Nance Dizel Esquilon?
Hello, madam. Good afternoon po. In my opinion po, yung dilemma po needs to choose between two options na hindi naman po ganun kabigat yung choices, while the moral dilemma po kailangan ng i-priority yung isang option kasi mas kailangan po yun compare sa isang option mo. Yun lang po. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Maria Christine Rico.
Good afternoon po, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Sa isang dilemma po, one must choose between po two equally bad or unacceptable choices. Samantalang sa moral dilemma naman po, yung decision po, the one making the decision po must choose between two moral values and kailangan niyang i-prioritize yung isa more than the other.
Thank you. Christian Bapilar. Alessandro Locsin.
Para sa akin po, dilemma, sabi nga nung iba, you are required to choose between two things, and if you choose one, and not being able to get one, it will leave you an unsatisfied feeling. While moral dilemma, you are required to prioritize one that is more impactful in terms of its morals, in terms of moral standards po.
Okay, thank you. Denver Val Hubilia. Ezekiel Henry. Okay, Jamil Mencias. Jafet Lagco. Kate Nicole Galvez.
Yes po, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon po.
How can you differentiate dilemma from moral dilemma?
Ano po ulit, ma'am?
How can you differentiate dilemma from a moral dilemma?
Uh, Pass po muna, madam.
Okay, sige. Ivy Bernadette Sarita.
Good afternoon po, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
So, when we say dilemma po, it is a situation in which you must choose between two equally bad options. It is a complex or challenging circumstance. And on the other hand po, when we say moral dilemma, it is a situation where you are presented with two or more actions, all of which you have the ability to perform.
Thank you. So all of your answers are correct and has points. So the difference of a dilemma from moral dilemma lies with the weight of its options. When we say dilemma, it refers to a situation in which a tough choice has to be made between two or more options, especially more or less equally undesirable ones. While in moral dilemma, it has its term moral. When we say moral, it can be used synonymous with ethics. So it is also an ethical dilemmas. They are the situations in which a difficult choice has to be made between two courses of action, either of which entails transgressing a moral principle. So ang dilemma is a general concept, while when we say moral dilemma, it must deal with what is right and what is wrong. Example of a dilemma, a simple dilemma is whether what food I will eat for lunch. Will it be rice and fish or rice and meat? That is an example of a simple dilemma. It does not concern ethics. When we say moral dilemma, it will concern ethics. So yun na yung mga questions na whether abortion is good or bad, or can divorce be legal or not, whether the victim of rape is to be blamed or not, whether people of Afghanistan should stay there or evacuate to other countries, whether Duterte is performing his role as president ethically or unethically, whether or not the church should give its comment when making a bill or passing a bill. Those are examples of moral dilemma. Sino yung nag-pass kanina?
Ako po, ma'am.
Okay. Can you give an example na lang of a dilemma? When we say dilemma, it should not concern ethical issues, or those are dilemmas that are only light and are encountered by us every day.
Ano po, ma'am? Simple dilemma po. Siguro po, ma'am, pag kailangan mong mamili kung mag stop ka or magpapatuloy ka mag-enroll this school year po, ma'am.
Okay, that could be example of dilemma. How about moral dilemma?
Hmm, moral dilemma. Ano po, ma'am, pag hmm, yung about po dun sa ano, pagpaparusa po dun sa mga ano, sa mga drug addict na nahuhuli po, ma'am. It's either ano po, pag, wait. Pass po ulit.
Ay, okay na yan. Tama na yung sinabi mo. Whether the government should punish the drug addicts or let them do whatever they want. Okay. So there are also examples or situations that might seem a simple dilemma but is actually a moral dilemma. For example, you accidentally broke your mother's vase, and the question of whether to tell your mother that you're the one who broke the vase or keep it a secret is a moral dilemma. It might seem simple since it happens daily or it happens to all of us. We are all caught on that situation. Kahit hindi vase or kung may nasira tayong appliances or kagamitan sa bahay, whether to confess sa parents natin yung nagawa natin or not, that is an example of moral dilemma. Hindi lang yung puros, baka naisip nyo, baka puros rape, abortion, same-sex marriage, extrajudicial killings, the euthanasia, baka ganun lang ang mga nasa isip niyong moral dilemma. Any dilemma that is concerned with what is right or what is wrong, depending on its weight, or when you think of that situation, if that situation involves violating any rules, even how some household rules that concerned with your values or with your belief that you think is a simple dilemma but is actually a moral dilemma. So yung mga sa dilemma, yung mga examples nun is kung um, kung ano yung pipiliin mong gadget when you are attending synchronous class, whether phone or laptop, that is a dilemma. Whether you should jaywalk or not jaywalk on the street, that is an example of dilemma because it does not concern um, ethical problems or ethical conflicts. So, okay, na-gets nyo na yung difference between dilemma and moral dilemma. So under the category of dilemma, it has personal dilemmas. They are those experienced and resolved on the personal level. Example of this is whether to take a bath or not take a bath. It will only concern you. Whether to confess to your crush or keep it a secret. That is a personal dilemma. When we say organizational dilemma, it refers to ethical cases encountered and resolved by social organizations. Meaning to say it involves two or more person. The consequences of one option or two options that you have will affect the life or lives of a group of persons. And lastly, the structural dilemmas. It refers to cases involving network of institutions and operative theoretical paradigms. So this is the one that bigger companies, religion, or ito na yung mga pangmalakihan na or national concerns na, even international concerns. Do you have any question regarding it? Kasi kung mapapansin nyo, yun lang naman yung essential points ng Module 1. The definition of ethics, the distinction of ethics and morality, the moral and non-moral standards, and lastly, the dilemma and moral dilemma. Do you have question regarding the Module 1?
Wala naman po mga...
Ma'am, may upload niyo po ba yung PowerPoint
Yes.
presentation?
Yes po. I'll upload the PowerPoint presentation.
Okay po, ma'am. Thank you po.
If you notice dun sa Module 1, stated yung first learning output. It was by group. I'll also post sa Google Classroom yung groupings. Pagsabayin ko na lang with the PPTs. So, ang instruction doon, or wait lang. So here's the instruction. Please accomplish this with your assigned group. You can use platforms such as Gmeet or Facebook Messenger to facilitate your discussion. Each member should submit the same group answer paper individually. Please follow this format. So essay paper, look for a news article from a newspaper, online or TV radio, broadcast that tackles an ethical issue. Brainstorm with your group mates and compose an answer for the following questions. Questions are, what is the case about? What makes it a matter of ethics? Is it considered a moral dilemma? What is your ethical analysis of the case? Please answer this item in exactly one paragraph with at least 15 sentences. So, paki-answer na lang concisely and briefly kasi I will check estimated 90 papers. So, the concise, paki-concise na lang and paki-brief ng mga answers. So, yung mga recent issues now, yung sa Afghanistan, yung sa NAS Daily kay Wang Od regarding culture. You can relate that to ethics, other news. You can just search in the internet or discuss among your groupmates. Isend ko na lang din later this evening yung grouping so you can start brainstorming. And the deadline will be next week pa naman. Is a week enough for you to answer that?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay. Sabay ko rin i-upload mamayang gabi yung module 2 so you can do an advanced reading and so that for Monday again, 1:15. We can start 1:15. We can do our discussion of the second module. Is it okay with you, class?
Yes.
Yes po, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you have questions, you can raise it now.
Hi, hello po ma'am. Good afternoon po. I'm
Hello.
John Wilcher po from Black Sea. Magtatanong lang po ako kung yung activity po doon sa kada module, isasagutan po ba yun?
Hindi naman na. Yung learning output lang, and I will post the separate classwork for that. So, yun lang yung gagawin nyo. You can also answer that to assess yourself, but it's not necessary to submit naman na. Kasi sobrang
Okay po.
daming questions nun.
Sige
Any
po.
more?
Thank you ma'am.
You're
Ma'am,
welcome.
hello po.
Yes.
Adeline Joy po from 1A, from 2A.
You're
Dito po
recognized.
sa sa essay paper po. Document file lang po ba?
Ano po yan?
Document file lang po ang kailangan.
You can submit it in PDF kasi when you use phone, sometimes iiba yung format when I read it sa laptop or sa phone ko. So you can
Apo.
use PDF lang para fix lang yung format.
Saka yung wala pa pong mga font style or ganun po na restrictions.
Format, are you referring to format ba?
Opo, ma'am.
Okay, the usual lang, size 12, Arial, 1 inch on all sides, margin, and short lang. Short band paper, size short band paper. Maximum of 15 sentences lang, wag nang mag-exceed na sa 15 sentences.
Noted po, ma'am. Thank you po.
Thank you.
Clarify ko lang po, ma'am.
Okay, sige, Michael, go ahead.
Clarify ko lang po, ma'am. Kung yung isa na lang po yung gagawin ng group po, tapos lahat po kayo magkasabit ng the same output po.
Isa lang na output for the group. Same output will be posted individually. So you'll just indicate, andito naman na yung format sa instruction, kung ano yung file name, GM1, full name, course, and block. When you say GM, group member 1, group member 2, group member 3. Yung groupings, I will just send that later. How about you, Abby Zales?
Same question po, ma'am, dun sa una.
Same output lang per group ang i-upload nyo individually. Any more? Okay. If none, can I request everyone to please turn on your camera and just take a screenshot. And the count of 3. Okay, smile. 1, 2,